Hello, freaks. Okay, I'm going to be covering a little tutorial now on the kettlebell swing. Now, a freaking awesome exercise. I'm going to cover it pretty extensively here, okay? Not comprehensively. Is there a difference? I don't know. But what I'm trying to get at is that I'm going to cover this in quite some detail, but quite quick as well, because I could hold a whole workshop on this. All right, and basically, because people are so deconditioned, because people really have lost touch with how their body moves. We've outsourced our movement. We sit a lot. We don't just generally just don't move a lot, and we tend to neglect this backside of the body even when we do train. And so, what should be a relatively easy drill to pick up can take quite a while for the vast majority of people out there. But I've been teaching the kettlebells for almost 20 years now. No, that's not true. Yeah, it was around about 2001 I started training with kettlebells, thereabouts. And I think I did my first certification training under some of the greatest out there around about 2002. So yeah, and I've been teaching a little bit after that, maybe about, because I always like to learn a lot first. I don't do a certification on the Friday or on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday and start teaching on the Monday. That's ridiculous. You don't know anything then. You're learning then still. And I'm still learning now. Okay, so I'm going to pick a relatively light one for myself. It's a 24 kilo. Oh, I'm just going to plant it there for a moment. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple of little things with a light one. I'm just going to show you, because there's different, you can say styles and all, and it's kind of like martial arts. There's no style. This is, we adapt. We use the tool to suit us. Okay? Don't, so we can put a real explosive snap into a heavy kettlebell with low repetitions, or we could go lighter and go for more endurance. I swing with for 100 repetitions non-stop with some. I've worked my way up to the 32 kilo for 100 repetitions, but I don't snap it as powerful as I would if I was doing sets of 10. You get that? So we can use the same tool, different weights and slightly different applications for different purposes, okay? But one thing I really want to just touch on first, because there's a lot of, this is an ancient training tool. I should say the Russian kettlebell, a few hundred years old. It's been used for hundreds of years, strongmen and so forth. People think this is a modern thing. It isn't, not at all. It's had around about the year 2000, had a reintroduction into the fitness industry, and so now you've got multiple fancy colours and little pink ones and little rubber coated ones and all this sort of stuff, and you have of course all these little pencil necks Instagram models, dweebs who this is a common pose, isn't it? This one and all this sort of stuff, and it's like it's the world that we live in, but then you see them using this tool, and for me, it's a real disservice to the people who are watching this instruction. If you go into facilities and go into training with in these gyms, and they have probably never used them, probably don't know, there's a lot of fluff and bullshit in this industry, this fitness industry. And you see people are allowing people to use these tools, because even though this is relatively lightweight, move with anything, you can blow your back out with picking a paper clip, okay? But using a relatively light tool, moving it fast generates a lot of force, or can do. So you think, if you see the likes of this, you see this, and even if you're moving well, as in, my back's still flat there, but look, you see a lot of this. That is a squat with a shoulder raise, front raise, okay? and it's not a kettlebell swing. Alright? A kettlebell swing is not a squat. It's a hinge. Okay? So minimal bend at the knee, more bend at the hip. That is a squat, that's bending at the knee. The shins shouldn't translate forward too much. Now again, that does depend, that will change, that shin angle will change depending on the load of kettlebell. Because I swing the 48, and when I'm swinging the 48, and I'm going back here, I do tend to let my knees sort of probably go over midfoot. But when I'm swinging, say, the 32, my shins are more vertical. It's the weight of the kettlebell. I've got to make sure, one, I don't topple over and I don't put too much stress through here, and I still get this backside snapping in, okay? Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you. So your mechanics will change according to the load, okay? But we still don't want to go into this squat. And we want to use the hips as a real snap. It's a bang, okay? It's not a soft drill, all right, for what we're going to be doing. Because it's like what we're saying, it's 100% hip. These are just connecting cables to that weight, okay? It is not about lifting with the shoulder. We don't lift with the shoulder, we lift with the hips. They just connect the kettlebell, it floats, and it floats back. We push it back, drive it in again. So we're trying to like shoot the kettlebell, this cannonball, that way. And it just hinges here. We control by using the shoulders, using those lats. Packing the shoulders down, using the rhomboids, make sure the kettlebell's not getting away from us. So we control with this, we don't lift with these, okay? All right, the other thing, and I'm trying to be quite diplomatic, but it's not my thing, but we're not doing any of these ridiculous overhead swings, which have been popularized by a group training sort of a method, cult if you like, which really aren't particularly good at anything. They just make you tired and butcher you and so forth. And there's so many flaws with doing that, okay? Because unless you've got freaky mobility through your thoracic spine, your whole shoulder girdle, that you can, and be able to control that at speed, so your both hands are overhead, without this disconnecting. Because if that disconnects, it means you're cranking on the lower back, you're disengaging your butt. It's not what we want to do. So you're putting your low back under stress, you're putting your shoulders under stress. For what? Moving it at a bigger distance, the argument is that you must be doing more work. Not at all. Because if you're using less force, that's going to be less work. So what we're looking at is what has been called in a lot of circles, still called in a lot of circles, the hard style swing, which is a very strong snap. I'll just demo for you just for a few. I really should be off my mat because my feet are whatever. I'll go a little bit narrower, but I would like to probably be a bit wider for myself. And it's setting up here. So look, I'm hinging, my feet are engaged, I feel these load, in other words a stretch. If I do that, there's no stretch. I want that load, but I want the back flat, in other words, neutral. That my spine has not moved. I have moved through my hip, slightly through the knee, and obviously slightly through the ankle, I've moved through the knee and hip. I grab here, I tilt it so that, look, when I pack my shoulder, when I pack my shoulders, this hasn't moved. I'm ready for my first swing where all I'm going to do is hike it like an American football between my legs, okay? And then once it's back here, I bang my hips forward, okay? I'll cover a little bit more detail in a second. So it's here, shoulders packed, head between the shoulders, that long spine, tummy engaged, and I'm going to okay? So you see it's quite an explosive snap. Now, I want to cover one thing. If I explosively snap that way, there's force generated by this. So, two things. If I want to stop that kettlebell going overhead, I have to use those lats to try and extend the shoulder, or if you like, stop it there. Because I'm projecting it forward, but I stop it. I don't want that. I want that kettlebell traveling only between belly button and chest height. Or right about here, belly button and head, shall we say. I don't want it going higher. So I have to use my lats to control that. But I allow that bang, that kettlebell to float here. Okay? Different techniques when we start to really force it down. But then I let it float down, just keeping that shoulder position so it's gliding back. When it's about here, I push it back between my legs because I want it there. Show you something. I'm doing the wrong stuff with a light kettlebell, just so I can show you. I don't want to hurt myself. Another flaw, because you see a lot of people doing this. That kettlebell should never be there. Your hand should be right near your junk, here all the time. So if you're down there, it's because one, you're not guiding in the right place, you're either squatting, or you're not hinging enough. Because if I hinge through it there, it should be there all the time. Junk, 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 okay? To be as high up in your groin as you can. All right, really key point. Now, the other thing, as I was saying, if we're driving our hips explosively that way, then we must engage this, because this is the back side of the body, and it's going to bang that way. That force generated wants to open that up. Those bottom ribs, it wants to open my abdominal panel up. So you have to really strongly engage your abdominals. That is a standing plank. You can see if you push me over, I'd be in that high plank position. Yeah? Okay. So you must learn to lock that midsection down. So you can practice first the two positions. So this is your starting point. I should add that if you haven't got a kettlebell, this is good to practice. And you can do this, what we call naked swing, or stopping posture, through us. So, you learn, we do this, you think about how many times we do this in the warm-ups, to take the slack out of your body, to find the connection with your feet, gripping, balanced, full length of your foot. As we straighten the legs, we slightly tuck the tailbone, we start to squeeze those feet towards each other without moving them. So we're engaging all this. Bottom ribs stay down, but we lift through the crown of the head. And we pack those shoulders. So think about when we grab the ball there. That is the top of your swing. That's how it should feel. Bang! Super engaged. The bottom part of the swing, funnily enough, is bent leg bar back. So again, feet are engaged, shins are pretty vertical. Stretch. Nice long spine, ribs down. Try to again learn to extend the shoulders. Your shoulders are down and back, lats engaged. You will be there with the kettlebell, there in bent leg bar. So you want to practice those two positions until you're so confident with them, you can get in and out of them like that. Okay? So your level one for kettlebell swings is to own that position, and then you can start to do what we call the stop and pop or the naked swing by moving in and out of it. So exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. And once you've got that slow, then you start adding the speed to it. So it's see how I'm pausing here a little bit because we want to encourage the float. But here, that's where we want that elastic rebound. Like you sat on a hot stove or a pin. So remember, look. Okay? Don't have to be too fast here. Lock it in. Kettlebell's floating. As it floats back down, but then bang! Okay? It's your naked swing. Alright, so when you're using a kettlebell, you want to piece that together and start with a lighter kettlebell. Average female, you're going to be starting with about an 8 kilo. Strong females, you'd work up to a 16. for starters. I've had plenty of girlfriends who, as in, you know, friends who are girls, who I've trained with kettlebells and I've had them swinging the 48s. Alright, so just because I'm saying start with an 8 doesn't mean to say you cannot go big with this too. In fact, I will say that some of the strongest people I've trained with kettlebells have been females. So, with males, I would, 16 is a good starting point, building up to a 24. All right, and then as I've just mentioned, I swing the 48 regularly. It's part of my training, part of my weekly regime, but I still also use all of them, So, like I say, the right tool for the job. This is a 24, it's kind of nice, middle of the range. So what we do, as I demonstrated before, is engage those feet. Think about that bent leg bar back, lifting those toes, spreading them, gripping down. Feel that engage, lengthening out. In other words, we take the slack out of our body. We don't approach a kettlebell and just really loose and start doing this. Connect, learn to connect your body, okay? So once we've connected, we're engaged, lengthen that spine. Reach out to that kettlebell which is in front of you. It never starts here, it starts out in front of you. Tilt it back. So now you should have a pretty straight line right through. I'll show you from here. That kettlebell, middle of the barrel, right through. And pull those shoulders away from the ears by engaging those lats. Squeeze the shoulders slightly towards each other, but make sure you're not doing that. You're not collapsing through your lunge spine. You're lengthening that spine, pulling those bottom ribs down so that tummy is engaged. You can feel every fibre in your body lighting up. And when you pop this back, nothing should really move. So it's there. You see? So that might be your first little drill. Just doing that. So it's there. 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 Okay? That's your first part of the drill. After that, you do what we call a power swing. One repetition and you place it back down. So, and it's a good way of practicing it because you know you're going to come back to this same setup position. Because every swing should look the same like that. What happens when people are first learning this, it starts off like here, snap, snap, then it reverts to this sort of stuff again. Okay? A lot of cleaning up we can do once you get started. You've got to be safe. It's the key thing. Alright, so remember, there's no bad movement. There's always better movement. As long as you're safe, there's no bad movement. Alright, so here we go. Power swing. Take it back. And back. Down, like so. Hike. Okay, so it's hike, snap, control, back down. Okay. After that, I suggest you just start piecing these together in groups of 3 to 5 repetitions. And then you put it back down. So in other words, you don't go, you stay away from fatigue because you want that perfect practice. Fatigue always brings about a loss of form. So don't. Well, here we go. It would be, I'll just do, in between 3 and 5, I'll do 4 because we're strong for life. Okay? Okay, there we go. You notice I didn't lose balance, wasn't going onto the back of the feet, wasn't going onto the front of the feet. Every rep should look pretty much the same. Alright, once we've got that, we can start increasing those repetitions once we're comfortable. But if you were when you're starting out, if you were going to start out with a target of say 100 swings, and you've got to that stage where you're swinging just for a couple of repetitions, you're not quite sure if you're getting fatigued, say 8 reps, 9 reps, just do them in 5s. You could do 20 sets of 5. 5 snappy swings, walk around, shake it off, come back again. 5 snappy swings. Once you get to the stage where you can do 5 snappy swings, 5 breaths, 5 snappy swings for 20 rounds, you're onto something. Maybe you can start doing sets of 10 then. And maybe over a period of time, like I do, I can do 100. don't stop, okay? And I want to tell you that, as most of you members know, that it's my a goal for 2020 is to swing the 48 100 times consecutively, okay? And I said by the half point of the year I'll be back to 32 kilos 100 times, and I am, all right? So I did that using the same sort of method. Taking it easy strength, all right? Not trying to push. You go pushing to failure all the time, you will just fail. Learn to train perfectly. All right, so adding the repetitions, and you might work up to set to 10, you might do set to 15, you might work to 20, depending on what weight you've got, depending on your form. But it's a little, quite in-depth tutorial for you. I suggest that you really look at my video, look at the form, try and piece it together in your mind, piece it together one step at a time, body weight first, owning the two positions, a little bit more speed, until they are really snappy, those stop and pops, film it, really make sure, take pictures of all of those steps, then start with the kettlebell, goes that little rock, we call that rocker up here, whoops, there, just getting used to that, and then the one swing, and back, and then 3s, 4s, 5s, and so forth, okay? Film them as you go, make sure each rep looks perfect before you step up to that next step. And guys, I was interviewed, because I have been training kettlebells that long, one of the first people, I was definitely one of the first when I came to Australia, no one else was really doing them, 1 or 2 people, but seriously 1 or 2. It's become a passion for me in the UK, and they give you so much freedom, so I left my gyms and so on and so forth, and I was training with kettlebells for a few years before I came to Australia, outside, you know, pull-up bar, kettlebells, ironing, bringing the inner warrior out, and when I came here, because the kettlebell community started to grow, and I was a part of that in Australia, I was interviewed, I was actually working for another company who were, again, health related, and did corporate wellness and so forth, and along with, I helped train some of the clubs, the football clubs and so forth, their strength and conditioning coaches, rugby clubs, and they could have done with a little bit more instruction, but they went on their own after that. But through this company, and David Butterfin, who's head strength and conditioning coach at Collingwood, and we were interviewed, and it was about exercise physiologists. We're all interviewed for something, and it was one of those questions where I was asked, we were asked, if you could only prescribe one exercise, what would it be? And they ran their own thing, as they do, and my choice was the kettlebell swing. Because for me, if that's all you ever did, you'd be training so many health and strength qualities. So it's worth your time mastering. It really is. And the last little thing before I let you guys go, the stop and pop drill, the naked swing, that is used by Navy SEALs who are deployed, because obviously they can't carry kettlebells with them. They have probably an 80-pound pack as it is. And they can use other things, we've got sand bells and so forth, but really speaking, they don't bother with all that sort of stuff. They carry nothing but their kit, and it's naked swings, okay? And really getting that action of, if you like, tense, loose, tense. So while you're traveling, you're loose-ish, you know, get what I'm saying? You're tense enough that you keep your alignment, but you're not like, you get that tension on, you don't move like that with dynamic resistance, but we want to be engaged. So it's tense, travel, loose, engage at the top, tense, loose, tense, loose, tense. So we tense to transmit that force, to stabilize, and then we move fast by loosening off, okay? So the naked swing, if you haven't got a kettlebell, is worth mastering, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. I did say it was going to be quite comprehensive, this, so it's not a short little video, it's worth you reviewing though. You're far better off mastering this and wasting 10 minutes of your time scrolling through Instagram models with a tiny little bicep resting a tiny little kettlebell on it, okay? You look at those bad boys. Catch it.